Welcome back to the Keto Bistro. Today we're going to be cooking up and canning some French onion soup. So in my pot that I'm cooking the soup in, I'm going to add 3/4 stick, and I'm using Kerrygold butter. You can do it in a skillet if you want to, but I have it on medium heat. So medium to low heat. You're going to cook your onions and caramelize them for around 8 to 10 minutes. So I have 4 yellow onions and 2 shallots that I am putting in, which will make around 36 carbs in this pot so far. So 8 to 10 minutes. I'll see you after I cook these down to almost translucent for the yellow onions. So while the onions continue to cook, I'm going to go ahead and call out the other ingredients that I'm going to add to the pot. I'm going to add 48 ounces of beef broth. Then I'm going to add the spices. So I'm going to add, and I prefer using garlic cloves, 2 garlic cloves, but I'm going to use a tablespoon of minced garlic instead. 1/8 of a teaspoon xanthan gum, and that's optional. Just depends on if you want yours a little bit thicker or just real soupy. I added 1/8 of a tablespoon apple cider vinegar, and then I sprinkled in 1/4 of a packet of like the stevia packets. I'm going to add thyme, 1.5 tablespoons. I'm going to add 1 bay leaf, of course, a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of black pepper, and then on the top you can use, I used cut up pork rinds, and you can use Gruyere cheese, or you can use Swiss or mozzarella. It's your choice. But since I'm freezing most of this, I'm not going to use but a little bit of cheese because I'm going to keep a couple out to eat. So the pork rinds and the cheese I will not add until I actually eat the soup. And then Worcestershire sauce. I'm going to go ahead and add in the tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. And you can add a couple of tablespoons if you want to. Once again, most of these spices are kind of optional, or you can add in what you want. I'm going to go ahead and add 1.5 because I do like the flavor it gives it. So 1.5 tablespoons. So now I'm going to go ahead and add the spices that I've called out. And the beef broth. I'm going to let that incorporate. I'm going to leave it on medium high heat. And then I will add, I'm going to go ahead and add the bay leaf. I will add in a beef bouillon and either water or chicken broth to make it a lot soupier. But I wanted to incorporate these flavors before I added more liquid in. And then also I will remove the bay leaf before I can or eat. That's been cooking on medium-high heat, or at least just incorporating, and I've stirred a few times for about 6 minutes. So last thing before I turn it up to boil and then down to simmer, I'm going to add beef bouillon cube And you can add water or chicken stock. It depends on how meaty flavored, and I don't even want to say meaty flavored because it's not really what kind of flavor you like, but I'm going to add both. So I'm going to add around 16 ounces of chicken broth, and then 16 ounces of water. You turn it up. To high. I'm going to cover it and let it start boiling, and then I will turn it down to simmer. And I'm going to simmer on low around 20 minutes, and then it's done. The soup is done. I've removed the bay leaf, and I have a bowl that I am fixing in the microwave to eat now. Here's the finished soup in my bowl. So I have pork rinds that I just cut up, and then I've melted several types of cheese on top, Italian, Gruyere, and then I added some Parmesan. I hope you've enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time on the Keto Beef. So I've prepped my canner and my jars. Have the water in there, clean the jars, sterilize. I have the lids on. I will put the directions in the description on canning. So I'm going to put the lid on. Make sure that I seal. And then I'm going to start it for 1 hour, 60 minutes. So I can start turning a little bit. Most of the air's been released. So I'm just going to remove those carefully. They're hot. I'm going to place them on a towel just to keep the jar from cracking. So if you put the hot jars on something cold, it could cause them to crack just with the difference in the temperature. I've never had it happen, but I usually put a towel down just to make sure. And then I will place the other 3 jars in and put the canner on 65 minutes, and then I'll have 7 pints of French onion soup for later. Second batch has started. Valves on airtight. I have the first 4 here. Oh, and you can hear them kind of popping. So you'll see that they're still bubbling and boiling a little bit. And you'll leave them here overnight to cool. The lids will be loose, and if you hear them pop, that's great. That's kind of what you want to hear.